Hello again, YouTubers, I'm SpongeBob101 back here again on the SpongeBob channel with our review of episode 25 of the Patrick Star Show, Which is Which, and Get Off My Lonnie. The synopsis states Bunny's mother visits from the old country. Also, Granny Tentacles gets her own spin-off show. Let's dive right in. Which is Which was a very interesting episode centered around Squidina and the possibility of her having hereditary witch powers, which is a strange thing to have, but anyways, the episode begins with Squidina and the rest of the Star family playing Lose Your Turn, and Squidina doesn't seem to be doing too well. It's kind of the opposite in the world of Patrick Star. While she laments her lack of skill, a bat shows up to their shock and delivers a message that Agnes Steelhead, Bunny's mother, was arriving for a visit. It turns out that the bat is in fact Agnes, and she isn't too happy to see Cecil, who feels likewise. Cecil and Patrick are then held captive by a monstrous sofa in front of the TV, while Bunny explains how magical powers really wasn't her thing, but rather she was skilled at keeping things neat and tidy. To distract Bunny, Agnes causes a magical mess and then teleports Squidina outside to grant her her very own magic wand, which really looks like a magic wand from Fairly Odd Parents. This starts a series of attempts for Squidina to try practicing magic, and her first task is to set a letterbox on fire. Although it appears she failed, it turns out that her aiming was off and she instead set Grandma Tentacles' home on fire instead. Poor Grandma Tentacles. Next, we have potion making, and of all places, in the bathroom. Agnes demonstrates how it should be done, and Cecil comes in right on time to drink it up, turning himself into a replica of Slappy. Squidina's attempts to craft the potion in the bathtub go to waste when Patrick likewise ends up sipping it up all through a straw, and also again turning into a Slappy clone. So this is when things start heating up because Grandpat shows up and can't stand Agnes and her magical antics. He dresses up in a witch hunt outfit and starts confronting Agnes, only to fall off the house and be rescued with a broom by a reluctant Agnes. Meanwhile, Patrick loses an arm wrestling match with his monster sofa, and then entertains Grandpat's rant about Agnes, as well as supporting his aim to use magic against magic by using the, quote, "my first magic kit." Man, it kind of reminds me of Hocus Pocus from season 4. Just as Agnes is trying to find a compatible socket to charge her magic wand, who knew magic runs on electricity too, Patrick and magician Grandpat put on a magical showcase with the aim of tricking Agnes into getting into a cupboard, which they will make disappear. Well, this goes as well as you think against an actual witch. She simply returns, and then when Grandpat tries to pull a gruff bunny out of a top hat, Agnes turns him into a carrot for the bunny's taking. Suddenly, Squidina puts a stop to the nonsense by using her own magical powers and literally flings Agnes right out the window and all the way back home. In a weird turn of events, it turns out that the whole scene was just a result of post-production, and Squidina didn't have powers after all. But she was, in fact, a werewolf. I was not expecting that, but okay. The plot gets 8 out of 10. I like the idea of introducing another member of the Star family, albeit secondary, and tying that into Squidina. Sure, we did have the Cloudnut stuff in the past, but Bunny's mom being a witch? Wow, it honestly would have been cooler if Squidina actually had powers, but decided to use them wisely. That would have been a nice lesson for the kids. Animation gets 9 out of 10. Awesome stuff all around here, from the silly board game and monster sofa to setting stuff on fire, Patrick and Cecil turning into Slappy clones, Grandpat being a witch hunter, and even the magic show. Really great scene. Unique characteristics gets 8 out of 10. Introducing more family members or focusing on Squidina isn't too unique at this point, but I really have to give the writers props for creating a very unique character in Agnes and then tying her to Squidina. I should note that both of them are squids, so presumably squids and starfishes are part of the same species in terms of reproduction. Not sure how to explain it, but interesting nonetheless. Overall, which is which gets 25 out of 30 from me. We then move on to Get Off My Lonnie, and while this episode doesn't focus that much on Patrick per se, Grandma Tentacles finally has her time to shine in stardom that she doesn't want, actually. It all begins when she interrupts the Patrick show to yell at Patrick, and this somehow attracts the attention of the viewers. So throughout the next day, they start following her all around to watch her live, to her dismay, of course. We start with them invading her home after she becomes a smash hit on the Patrick show, no less. Kind of reminds me of when Squidward became handsome and everyone was crowding at his Easter Island at home. She escapes in her boat to the park, where she tries to enjoy a peaceful time feeding the clams, even showing her mischievous side by changing the warning sign. Her fans, including Slappy, show up carrying a cardboard TV frame to watch her, and of course she ain't having any of it. So after rushing into a bus, the driver comes up and asks her for her autograph. And then she notices her fans in the bus as well. So if you get the drift here, basically this is fundamentally a chase-themed episode with Granny Tentacles at the center of it. In dramatic fashion, she kicks the driver out of the bus and saws the bus into half, continuing down the road in the front portion. This doesn't stop her fans from following her atop a Goofy Goober ice cream truck though. I really like the part where they slam into her windscreen and Old Man Jenkins changes like the channel or the knob, resulting in Granny Tentacles changing outfits. It's really like living in a TV show, which they actually are. Soon she finds herself crossing a cliff, avoiding a fall thanks to captions turned on by Slappy. Unfortunately, they catch up with her and push her back down the cliff, only to be rescued just in the nick of time by Patrick and Squidina, the former with a copter hat on his head and butt. So Granny Tentacles finally gives in and accepts her stardom, immediately kicking off the Granny Tentacles show right outside her home. How did they even get back so quickly? I do not know, but she does perform a great theme song with the cameos from the Sea Bear, Rube, the Flying Dutchman, Sandy, Plankton, and Larry. I'm not sure how they even tie into her, but, well, they're there. Unfortunately, this is what the crowd doesn't want, and they end up falling asleep from the boredom, and are also quickly poached away by an old man painting his yard fence. Poor Granny Tentacles. Like, Patrick turning her TV screen off was pretty cool, though. Plot gets 8 out of 10. In many ways, Granny Tentacles is kind of like Squidward, constantly wanting to be left alone. At the same time, she doesn't crave the stardom Squidward does in relation to music. And I can certainly see the appeal of Granny Tentacles as a character being like super mean and taken very lightly, apparently. Well, and while it's too bad that the show didn't work out, I thought the nonsensical chase around town was really funny and entertaining. Animation gets 9 out of 10. Granny Tentacles' expressions, especially those of shock in this episode, were just wild and really funny to watch. Plus, having the TV references like changing the channel or outfit and activating captions were just too epic to have. Unique characteristics also gets 9 out of 10. Just having a TV show themed focus on a random character like Granny Tentacles is pretty unique in my opinion. Plus, Patrick and Squidina even tried to help her set up given her popularity. I guess it goes to show that anything really can go viral, including an old guy painting his fence. Overall, Get Off My Lonnie gets 26 out of 30 from me. So that's our review of these 2 episodes, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about them. Make sure to subscribe, like, and again, I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, bye!